On a small island in the Bay of Bengal lives one of the last uncontacted tribes on the planet. North Sentinel Island is home to the Sentinelese, an isolated tribe notorious for their violent xenophobia, having gained a reputation after two shipwrecked Indian fishermen were shot to death with simple bows and arrows. In response, the Indian government forbade anyone from setting foot on the island. Yet, one American, by the name of John Allen Chow, was not deterred. According to the New York Times of November 11, 2018, Chow, a missionary, bribed local fishermen and skirted Indian law to be taken to the island, so that he might speak Jesus to the natives. Unsurprisingly, the Sentinelese were not particularly receptive to his evangelism. Chow's body was last seen being buried in the sand of the island. His death earned him popular scorn. Vibe magazine read the headline, "Colonizer Killed with Arrows on Indigenous Island." Woke Twitter was quick to mock his demise, with some users stating, "The asshole got what he deserved." Our collective reaction is interesting. Given the West's deep history of colonialism and abuse of indigenous rights, I'm skeptical that the rhetoric surrounding the death of John Allen Chow indicates social progress. We ask, what does the rhetoric surrounding the death of John Allen Chow reveal about the West's relationship to colonialism? To answer this question, we turn to Michael Lacey's White Innocence Heroes, Recovery, Reversals, and Paternalism, and David Duke, found in the August 2010 Journal of International and Intercultural Communication. Lacey's model is ideal because it assesses the rhetoric surrounding the defeat of colonialism. We will assess Lacey's model, apply it to the death of the world's most foolish missionary, and finally turn to the implications of what New Republic of November 28, 2018 calls the only scenario in which an American citizen can be killed with total impunity. Every good story needs a good villain, and Lacey contends that the ideal racist villain is one who is stereotypically extreme, hurling racial slurs and unabashed white supremacy. Out of this scene emerges the anti-racist white hero, who confronts, kills, subverts, or even hunts the white supremacists, thereby rescuing people of color and cultivating white innocence. This archetype is born out of three rhetorical moves: mythic recovery, rhetorical reversals, and white paternalism. First, mythic recovery is the process by which a hero narrative is reconstructed once thought lost or destroyed. For example, infamous white supremacist David Duke paints a picture of whiteness as a moral paragon until a fall in the 1960s during the Civil Rights Movement. Duke casts himself as the hero, defending against communists, the Viet Cong, and subversives at home, thus turning whiteness into the defender of the civil rights activists, who are merely unwitting pawns, and all the while reifying structures of white supremacy. Next, rhetorical reversal is what happened. Rhetorical reversal is used to subvert the expectations of the audience. This is what happens when a white nationalist invokes civil rights to justify their hate speech. David Duke borrows the language and actions of the oppressed in order to construct the illusion of the moral high ground. By hijacking the work of the oppressed and transforming it into a rhetorical human shield, Duke makes it hard to attack the white supremacist behind the work, who now has the illusion of moral authority. Finally, white paternalism is used to reproduce white supremacy by convincing whites of the heroism of whiteness. David Duke and his fellows cast themselves as seeking to rescue blacks from the evils of their economic distress, things like affirmative action and welfare. The not-so-concealed implication is that whiteness is beneficence, and this virtue is embodied and exalted by being extended to other races, who are said to need such beneficence in order to survive. John Allen Chow is not the hero of our story. Instead, he forms the role of the ideal villain. So let's use Lacey's model in order to identify the hero. The predominantly white Western audience casts the Sentinelese as the hero of this anti-colonialist narrative, and the product of which is white innocence. First, the Western audiences engage in mythic recovery to align themselves with the Sentinelese as the antidote to colonialism by portraying Chow as an idiot. by portraying Chow as unprepared, arrogant, or zealous. While zeal was certainly a factor, the Washington Post of November 28, 2018 reminds us of the careful preparations taken. Chow learned multiple languages, quarantined himself, and received numerous vaccinations. Chow's colonialism was planned, thought out, and intentional. But by recasting him as an idiot, colonialism as a whole is rendered bumbling and oafish, allowing enlightened Western audiences to point and say, "We're smarter than that." Next, Western audiences align themselves with the Sentinelese through rhetorical reversals. In going to North Sentinel Island, Chow broke the law. But the fixation on his criminality obfuscates the role law plays in justifying colonialism. Condemning him through legality obfuscates the role colonialism plays in justifying and maintaining colonial structures, protecting and concealing it through a rhetorical reversal. Law cannot be reified as a barrier from colonialism when law still serves as the foundation for colonialism to this day. Finally, the Western audience engages in outright paternalism. The Sentinelese are cast as being unambiguously heroic, the defenders of their way of life. Their violence is ignored. This seems odd. Why do the Sentinelese need the American media to serve as their defense lawyer? In the court of colonizer public opinion? The excusal of the death of John Allen Chow is complicated. It embodies the classic American virtue of stand your ground, and then extends it to the Sentinelese benevolently, and it is forced upon them. Now that we've explored the relationship between Western audiences and North Sentinel Island, we can now return to our question. What does the rhetoric surrounding the death of John Allen Chow reveal about the West's relationship to colonialism? Through the construction of the white innocence hero, Western audiences successfully condemn cartoon villain colonialism, while concealing the very real and insidious forms of colonialism that exist today. This process gives rise to two implications. First, the construction of the white innocence heroes allows Western audiences to get a real feeling of innocence. In the original model, Lacey argues that the white innocence hero is used to sanitize white supremacy. By publicly condemning Chow's actions, Western audiences distance themselves from the evils of colonialism, while simultaneously generating a kind of rehabilitated whiteness, one that is liberal, educated, and above all, woke. This is a public performance by and for Western audiences, and it's used to distance themselves from their colonial past while still sitting atop the wealth colonialism has brought. As if the stolen prosperity from around the world wasn't enough, Western audiences crave the chance to be the hero, and the Sentinelese, who have no control over this discussion, provide the perfect opportunity. Finally, the vilification of John Allen Chow required the vindication of the Sentinelese. They are cast as unambiguously heroic, the defenders of their way of life. Yet, this does not describe the Sentinelese. The tribe is notoriously murderous, and this is a fact well known to even their neighboring tribes. Yet, the implication that they have garnered some kind of nobility by killing John Allen Chow seems odd. Their violence is excused. Why? Ostensibly, the answer is because they are primitive, that they simply don't know better. But this is the same line of thinking that forms the foundation of the white man's burden, the colonialist belief that colonialism was justified because other races are simply incapable of civilization. If we continue to tie moral capacity to technological progress, we prove yet again that our colonialist past is still with us. Today, we took a trip to North Sentinel Island and explored the relationship between the death of John Allen Chow and the West's history of colonialism. Chow did not set out to become a colonial villain, but he's become wrapped up in a narrative that constructs the white innocence hero, allowing Western audiences to claim the mantle of hero while sitting back and enjoying the benefits of colonial villainy.